I recently announced that I'll be having surgery again soon, and I've had a lot of questions from people asking what the heck is going on, why I'm having more surgery. So I thought the easiest thing to do would just be to make a video explaining the ins and outs of what's going on with my health. That way it's all concise and clear. In case you're not up to speed, my name is Alex. I perform under the moniker Go Ask Alex. And in 2019, I had a total abdominal colectomy due to aggressive bowel disease, in my case, ulcerative colitis. So in 2019, I had that total abdominal colectomy. That means that my entire colon was removed laparoscopically. When my colon was removed, my rectum stayed put, and I've had an ileostomy since then for the last 5 years. So over the past 5 years, I've been waiting and processing and thinking about what the next steps are for me. And there are a couple of different options. Both of them entail surgery. Option number one is to just remove my rectum entirely, and my ileostomy will be permanent, and that's it. That's the whole procedure. Now, removing a rectum, which is called a proctectomy, or a proctocolectomy for the colon and rectum, that's a pretty big surgery. It's actually one of the most painful surgeries that exist. I think it's ranked third or fourth or something like that. Of course, I had to Google because I don't know, I'm morbid, I guess. It's a pretty big surgery because your rectum is attached to kind of everything in your abdominal cavity. Your rectum, if you think about it, is part of your pelvic floor, and the muscles in that area are really important for walking, using your abdominal muscles. Your rectum and rectal muscles are attached to things like, for me, uterus, vagina, bladder, legs, spine. So it's a pretty major and pretty invasive surgery to have. So that in and of itself is a pretty big deal. Option number two, the second surgical option, is a two-part surgery. It's called an ileoanal anastomosis. And the surgery is broken up into two different surgeries that are 3 months apart so that your body has time to heal in between. The first surgery is the removal of the rectum, or like 90% of the rectum. And then my small intestine would be reshaped into sort of a J shape. It's called a J pouch. And that is sort of like an internal reservoir in your body that attaches to the last little bit of your rectum and your anus. So they would take my small intestine and refashion it, take the rectum out, sew that up into a whole new situation, and then create a new temporary stoma using a different part of my ileum, which is part of your small intestine. And then I would wait for 3 months. I would heal. My body would recover, essentially. And then once I get my strength back, I would go in for the second part of the surgery, which is to remove that stoma and reconnect the digestive system. So essentially, you go from the ileostomy, which I have now, to no longer having an ostomy and having all of the intestine reconnected and attached to the anus, except for you won't have the rectum and you won't have the colon. You'll have like a very small amount of the rectum. And that's because my disease, ulcerative colitis, it exists in the colon and in the rectum. So by removing those two parts of my intestinal tract, we're hopefully removing the disease, right? Of course, I'm still going to have the same autoimmune disease regardless of what surgery I have, so I'm still going to have other symptoms that go along with that, but hopefully not the worst ones. Unfortunately, the healing process for option number two, the two-part surgery, is really long and pretty terrible. It takes about a year-ish to recover, and that's because, I mean, first of all, it's a major surgery, as I mentioned, with the rectum and the pelvic floor muscles, but also because after surgery number two, you basically have to train your body to know how to use the bathroom again. I mean, if you think about it, I haven't gone to the bathroom the normal way in 5 years now. So it's a long time to go without using any of those muscles. And it's going to take a while for my body to understand the signals that say, hey, I have to go to the bathroom. In something like 90% of people, the J-pouch surgery is the last surgery that they have to have. And once they have that J-pouch, the ileoanal anastomosis, they're pretty much set. Then I wouldn't have an ostomy anymore, which would be pretty neat. And over the last 5 years, I've really gone back and forth between which of those options I'd prefer. When I first had surgery, I was annoyed I couldn't have the full rectum removal right away because I did not want a J pouch. I was so certain that I just wanted the ostomy forever because I was so sick and tired of being sick and tired. But now, 5 years later, it would be really cool to not have an ostomy. I miss sleeping on my stomach. So I have decided to go ahead with option number 2 and to have the ileoanal anastomosis, which, as I mentioned, is going to be about a year of pretty hardcore recovery. I'm going to be in the hospital for a long time, and then I'm going to be pretty much confined to my house for about a year, which is a huge lifestyle change for me. And that's why I've been traveling a lot in the last few months. Berlin, Poland, Japan, Portland a couple of times, just because I really wanted to get those things off my bucket list, because it's going to be a while before I can do anything that's just for me and my personal enjoyment. My work is going to be pretty significantly impacted by all the time I'm going to have to take off, and that's why I'm really doing the best that I can to, be as fiscally smart as I can right now that I've spent all my money traveling, and save for this next chapter of my life. And of course, the most difficult part of all of this for me is that I won't be able to take care of my dog while I'm recovering. And unfortunately, I don't live in a situation where I can just ask my, roommates or family or whatever. I don't have a partner who can just take my dog. So I am going to have to enlist the help of a lot of people. And thankfully, I have a wonderful community and really good friends who love my pup. But I have decided that the best thing for her is to do some long-term, boarding with a dog trainer and on a farm where she's really, really happy and loves it there. It's not like her traditional kennel. She's seriously in puppy dog heaven when she goes to the farm. So she's going to be really well cared for, but that's probably going to be the hardest thing for me because I got her during the pandemic and she's my best friend. But yeah, that's my life update, my health update. This was going to be a quick video, but I've kind of rambled. I would love to answer any more questions that you might have, but getting questions all the time from different people, it's pretty overwhelming. So if you have a question for me, I'm happy to try and answer it in another video. But I would prefer if you could leave your question in the comments section here rather than messaging me or emailing me directly, because getting all these messages all the time asking about my health is honestly very exhausting. And I just don't have the time to answer everyone individually. So if you put your questions here, I'll do my best to make another Q&A video where I can answer them all together when I have the spoons to do that. So thank you very much, and lots of love from your favorite Canadian redheaded weirdo.